Hi, welcome back to Cooking with Katie. I'm a registered dietitian with White Earth Public Health, and we're back cooking with Heather again.
Hi, I'm Heather, a registered nurse with White Earth Public Health. We are back here on our final episode before Thanksgiving, and we are talking dessert, pumpkin pie.
We found a delicious pumpkin pie recipe and swapped out a couple of ingredients to make it a little bit of a lighter recipe.
With our pumpkin pie bites, we will be making a pecan and cinnamon crust.
So let's get started.
All right, we will start on our crust first. We have some pecans here that we will finely chop. We put them in the mini food processor, and we put about a cup and a quarter in here. And so we're gonna chop up the pecans.
And our goal once we're done chopping is to have a cup and a quarter. So you kind of just have to play with it. Depends on what kind of nuts you're using. We have this little handy held device here, but you can definitely chop with a knife, put it in a regular food, like mini food processor as well. Just be careful if you're using one of the motorized food processors. If you over process it to chop it, it'll turn into butter. So, or like a nut butter. So just keep an eye on it. Also, like Heather said, we're using pecans, but any kind of nuts would work, you know, to make this recipe however you like. So we will finish chopping our nuts and then we'll start finishing our crust.
Our nuts are all chopped, and we're going to use the same bowl to put all of our ingredients in. We will add a dash of cinnamon. All right. And then since we have the recipe, we're going to add 2.5 tablespoons of brown sugar.
Oh, brown sugar, sorry. Jumping ahead. And then as Heather starts mixing together there, we're just gonna toss that together just to, or like stir it together quickly just to mix the seasonings in a little bit. And then we have about 2.5 tablespoons of melted butter.
Make sure we get all that butter out so it holds everything together.
Yes, it is gonna be our glue. Now, like Heather just mentioned, because we're gonna make like mini pie versions today, we went ahead and just halved our recipe for the pie crust. So if you feel like once you start stirring it together, the recipe says your goal is you want it to be kind of like wet sand. If you feel like it's a little bit dry, just go ahead and add a little bit more butter, and that will make it stick together as well. Once we get it pressed in our little tins too, we're gonna bake it, so that will help set it up as well. So
yeah, it looks pretty wet here.
It looks good.
We started filling up the mini tins, and I'm using a 1/2 tablespoon, just a little bit more heaping, and then just press that down in your little mini muffin tin.
Yep, and so there's a couple ways, you know, you can definitely go with this. Like we're doing today, we're just kind of putting it into the bottom. It might be rounding up the sides a little bit, but you can definitely press it all the way up to line the mini tins. Or else you can go with a crustless version. So, you know, you can definitely do what works best for yourself. Once Heather is done filling each of the pie tins, we will go ahead and stick it in a 350-degree oven, like I mentioned earlier, and let it bake 5 to 10 minutes, it says, but we're going to keep a close eye on it because it's going to burn quickly. So what we're kind of looking for, obviously it's already a little bit light brown, but for it to turn a little bit more like roasted brown, and we'll show you when we're done. So that's what's up next.
All right, now we'll start with our pumpkin filling. First, we'll start with our pumpkin puree. You could use a 15-ounce can of pumpkin puree or 2 cups of homemade pumpkin puree, which actually this is. Just make sure you're using the pumpkin puree and not the pumpkin pie filling. So we will add the flavor to the puree.
All right, so what we will do is start to add everything. So the first thing we will start off is with 3 eggs.
Hopefully I won't get any shells in there.
Doing a good job so far.
One more. All right.
Perfect, perfect. And we'll mix it all up at the end, so that's nice. You can just carry on throughout all your ingredients. The next thing, we're gonna go ahead and add in 1/4 of a cup of sugar. And then one of my favorite parts of this recipe, 1/4 of a cup of maple syrup. Now remember, if you don't have maple syrup, you can just do a 1/2 cup of sugar. So just increase the regular granulated sugar. And then, making Heather do all the hard work here, 1/4 of a cup of milk. Any milk will be fine. And then we have 1 teaspoon of vanilla.
I'll actually measure out my vanilla. I usually just eyeball it, but
always adds good flavor.
yep.
There we go. And now for our seasoning. So we have a whole combination of it. So first we're going to start with 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now, obviously we don't expect you to remember all this stuff. So remember to check out the recipe book because the recipe will be in there. So you can recreate this on your own.
Okay, so
1.5 teaspoons. Yeah.
I just have a 1 teaspoon, so I'm eyeballing it.
That's fine. And next is 1/2 teaspoon nutmeg. And then it's 1/2 teaspoon ginger.
I love ginger.
Yes, it smells so good, doesn't it?
Oh, I gotta take the top off here.
And today, so we're adding all, and a 1/2 teaspoon. Yep. I'll get back to that, what I was going to say at the end, so we can finish on this. And then 1/2 teaspoon allspice. And then 1/4 teaspoon salt, which I think we forgot to grab, which is okay. So as Heather,
grab it from the cupboard.
yep. So as Heather grabs that, we went ahead and added all of our spices separately. Now you can find in the store the pumpkin pie spice. You know it's going to be right next to all your regular seasonings, just this size. There she goes. She has it there. I just looked up online for like a pumpkin pie spice recipe, and you can do, if you have some of the pumpkin pie spice in your cupboard, you can replace everything that we just put in with 1 tablespoon of your pumpkin pie spice. So go ahead and work what is best for you. Blah, can't get that one out. So now we're gonna mix everything up, and to do that, you could certainly use a hand whisk, but we're gonna take out the blender or the our electric mixer and get those eggs really worked up. So just do what works best for you.
Now we're ready to fill our mini muffin tins. To make the job easier, we are just going to pour in our pumpkin filling. We used a little bowl that had a little lip there, and we're just going to be just using a liquid measuring cup, or this little spout helps really well.
And so as Heather begins to fill our little pumpkin pie bites, cooking with pumpkin is super healthy for you. We should remember, even though it is a Thanksgiving basic, it is a very healthy fruit that's full of lots of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. For our bodies, pumpkins can help with our eye health, improve our immunity, lower your risk for cancer, and because of the fiber content, it can help with weight and blood sugar control. So not only around this time of the year in the fall, just consider adding pumpkin into your diet all year round. So Heather's just going to go ahead and finish filling each of our pumpkin pie bites. Now, remember, this recipe is just fine to make it into a full pie as well. We're just taking another take on it. So this isn't a special recipe just for this. So you can follow the same recipe and go ahead and make the crust amount to a full size. And then this is the amount that it called for. This is a full size recipe. So as Heather continues to fill, once she's done filling, we're gonna go ahead and stick them in the oven. Because they're a smaller size, the baking time is much shorter. So we're gonna bake them for about 15 minutes, and they most likely won't be done, but I just don't wanna over bake them. And then we'll just see how they look, and we'll probably do like a knife or a toothpick check. And once it comes out clean, then they're done. So just keep a close eye on it, and there we go. Heather's almost done.
And then the batter is kind of runny because we added 3 eggs and we used real pumpkin, but just know that it's okay. It's supposed to be runny like this.
Yep, it's gonna set up. That egg will help it make it like a custard. So yep, don't be afraid. So our pumpkin pie bites have been baking for 15 minutes. So Heather's just gonna test. They look like they're starting to set up, but no, not quite yet. So probably about 5 more minutes. So there they are, just baking away, and they smell delicious.
They smell very good. All right, our delicious little pumpkin pie bites are done. They look delicious. And I love how they're like a little bite size, so maybe you could eat more and not feel as guilty. But they didn't set up yet because they're still warm. So there's a little bit of the crust that's on the spoon that I cannot wait to eat.
Yes. So if they cool or if they fall apart, like we just kind of formed a little bit more, but I think as it cools, it'll set up just fine. So just allow a little bit of time to cool. So we're just, hurrying things up a little bit. But, and remember too, like I said earlier, the nut base crust, you could do that. You could do your classic pastry style, or even go with the crustless. And this could fit with any of your favorite pie recipes. So you don't need a special recipe. Just go ahead and, you know, make it like we did and adjust it. So we hope you enjoyed our take on dessert.
Thanks for watching.
Heather's lined up, and check out whiteearth.com for today's recipe.
Take care.